Alright, we just finished our multi-pitch climb here at Mission Trails, and our goal is to now rappel down. So since we're in a multi-pitch scenario, we have to do multi-rappels down, and I want to show you and introduce you to a very efficient way to do a multi-pitch rappel. So first of all, Stephan just joined our anchor, so we want to get him independently hooked into our anchor with his personal anchor system. So he clips into our quad anchor here, right? So that I can actually take him off belay here, all right? So we can make sure everything is locked. So now I can take Stephan off belay. One thing to notice here at our anchor is that if you look where it's clipped in, I already clipped it above our rappel rings here, so that we not pinch down our rappel rings when we later use them and weight them. So I'm going to take him off belay here. And now we can start threading our rappel. Okay, for that we need to get Stephan off the rope here and thread our rappel. So this anchor here has two quick links attached to the hangers, which then are our rappel rings in this case. Okay, so I'm gonna thread it from one side and into the second rappel ring. And as always, we're gonna tie a double overhand knot to close the system. Make sure it's really nice, cinched tight, because your rope ends will be dangling in open air, and if they're not tight enough, the knot will come undone. So now I can do some nice butterfly coils here for good rope management. Butterfly coils are great because they don't create any twists or loops in my rope. So what I'm really paying attention to here is the middle mark of the rope. This rope here in particular has a black mark, so we're watching out for this. Okay, so we're right here, so we have our black middle mark. So I don't really want to toss down my rope now yet, because first I'm going to tie an overhand knot on a bite in here to avoid my rope to be completely pulled down by the weight. So now I can toss down the rope. I want to make sure I yell clear and loud, rope! Throw it down. So you can see here at the anchor, right, this knot here, it's just avoiding the remaining rope to be pulled down by the weight that's already down there, right? So now we can actually do butterfly cords on the other side to take care of the rest of the rope. So once I'm at the end, keep in mind it's crucial and necessary to always tie your stopper knot, which in this case is a double overhand. Again, to close our system. Right. Well, once we got this, we can throw down our rope. Okay, so now we got both ends down, so we don't need this knot here anymore to jam our rope, because it's equally weighted now on the middle. Right, so it's very clear here, the black spot is right on the rappel rings. So now it's time for us to set up our rappel. Okay. So we're using a pre-rigged rappelling system. So that means we're a bows with our rappel device attached to the rope before we clean our anchor, and then we eventually clean our anchor and one at a time rappel down. So let's set up our rappel. So we need the rappel device. So it's me actually going down first. So we're gonna stack Stephan right above me. So we take our ATC rappel device, and you see with Stephan's PAS, we have a really nice PAS system here with two clips. Right, one is the longer one where he is clipped into the master point, and then the shorter one lends itself for the attachment for his rappel device. So as you can see, Stephan is already on rappel, so I'm gonna go right below him. And really important here with the pre-rigged rappelling is that we are extended from our harness with our rappel device. A lot of people rappel directly clipped to their belay loop. That's totally fine, but with this system it's very important actually that we are extended, so we use our PAS for our clip with the rappel device. Right? So I'm extended a good distance from the harness, about 1 to 2 feet. Okay, so I'm going to stack myself right below Stephan. So now we are both with our rappel device attached to the rope. So in theory you could rappel down now, but we need to back it up first. So I have my hollow block friction hitch here, a Pussy cord hollow block, and I'm gonna do an auto block friction hitch around the brake strands so that I have a nice backup. Okay, so make sure with your friction hitch backup you always want to test them and really pull force downwards to make sure it grabs right, because it changes depending on the diameter or the age of the rope, how fuzzy it is or how new the rope is. So I'm testing it, I'm making sure it's really grabbing, and if it does, then I can clip it to my belay loop. Make sure it's a locking carabiner on there, a small one, lock it down. So here now we can see very visual, we are with the middle mark on our rappel rings. Then we have Stephan rigged above myself here with his ATC belay device, and I'm below him backed up with a friction hitch. Alright, so now that we are all set up with our rappel and we're almost ready to rappel down, we want to make one last safety check to make sure that everything in our system is ready, and so that we can then unclip from the master point with our PAS. So we're going to check the system from the top. So we're going to start at the bolts, make sure we're at the middle mark in both rappel rings. And then we go down to our rappel device, make sure it's clipped in, it's locked. And then it is my rappel device also locked with a friction hitch that we tested and a lock carabiner. And only then you can really remove your PAS from the master point. So now since we checked this, we can completely take it off. And now you see that the anchor is completely clean, and as I mentioned earlier, it is very fortunate to clip them above the rappel rings on your last belay of your multi-pitch climb. This way the rappel rings are not weighted, and I can just easily remove my anchor, and I can then clip it to my harness to attach it to my next rappel anchor down below. I will be rappelling down to the next anchor, and so the goal is to be then clipped to 2 bolts again as I am off rappel, right? So I'm using this quad anchor now to bump down to each rappel station that we encounter. And the reason why I'm using a quad anchor here is because it is a self-equalizing anchor, right? So we will encounter that sometimes the bolted anchors on rappel stations are a little bit different. For example, they could be a little wider apart. Sometimes one bolt is a little higher than the other. So having a quad anchor on your multi-pitch rappelling and having a self-equalizing anchor helps you a lot to encounter and adjust to different anchor situations. And this is why we use a quad anchor. So I have this now on my harness, so I can bump it down and clip it to the next anchor. Okay, so one other thing to mention here, it is really important to have the extension, because now I'm going to rappel down, so I'm going to scooch over a little bit, right? And I want my partner not to be dragged over, right? So there is a lot of buffer here with the personal anchor system. Okay, so I'm going to rappel down now. And then Stephan, as soon as I'm calling off rappel, you can then say I'm on rappel, okay, and I will give Stephan then a fireman's belay as a backup. Yeah, he could also use a friction hitch, however he wants to attach it later to his belay loop, because if he would do now, I would drag him around. So I'm going to start rappelling now, and I see you down there. See you. So now that I rappel down to our next rappel station, I am again ready to clip our quad anchor to the hangers. Again, we want to make sure we clip above the chains this time and lock our carabiner. This anchor here in particular is a little different, so we have one bolt significantly higher than the other. So even though we're using a self-equalizing quad anchor here, this is not enough for us to get an equalization, so I have to make a little adjustment here. So I'm going to slide my nuts in a different position so that I then have a master point that is self-equalizing in the direction of pull. Okay, so now I adjusted my anchor, making sure everything is locked. Now I can take 2 strands of my quad and clip right with my PAS into the master point. So once I'm clipped in, I can actually rappel down below, and you will see that I'm transitioning from weighting the rope, now weighting the anchor. And this is the very moment now where I'm taking all the weight off the rope, transitioning into my quad anchor. Okay. At this very moment, I can remove my friction hitch from the rope and also my rappel device. And once everything is removed, then I can call, "I'm off rappel!" And so once I'm off rappel, then I'm waiting for the command that my partner is coming down. Alright, I got your fireman's back up. You ready to rappel? So with the fireman's back up, if you choose to use this one, it is very important to always keep an active eye on the rappelling person. Because really what it is an opportunity for me to pull the ropes tight. Yeah. I'm going to demonstrate this very quick. Stephan, 1 second here. So if you look at our climber now, as I'm having the brake strands pulled tight, there is no way that my rappeller can ever go down unexpected. Alright, you ready to keep rappelling?
Yes.
Alright, it's on you. I got you. Yeah, stay a little bit to the right. Perfect. And it's very nice to see we got that extra loop here now for Stephan then once he is joining the anchor to clip in. Alright, so Stephan now takes his PAS, clips right into the rappel, and then you can rappel down. Perfect. And again, right, we see also how the transitioning is happening from having the rope unweighted now and the anchor weighted. Okay, so now since we're clipped in with the PAS, we can then also take the rappel device off the rope, and now more or less our protocol repeats. So we need to again set up our rappel. Alright, so I'm gonna find one of the rope ends first. So I got both here now, right? I can choose whichever I want. So I'm going to untie the knot first so I can thread the next rappel chains. So untie the knot. Okay. Here in particular we have one rappel ring that is attached to a second bolt, right? So whenever you see that, it's very important that you see the attachment here. Then it is absolutely important to use that one rappel ring as long as it is attached with a chain to a second bolt or hanger. So now we threaded the rappel ring. As always, we're gonna close the system with a double overhand knot that is really nicely cinched tight. And again, we're gonna now start pulling the rope. The big difference here is that we still have the rope attached to our previous rappel anchor. So eventually what's going to happen is we're going to have to pull the entire rope down so it falls. And very important here is when you start pulling it, you want to make sure the knot is taken out of the other end. Because if we were going to pull it out with the knot, it would get stuck in our rappel ring. So that is very important. Yeah? So make sure before you pull the rope, you're going to remove all the knots. So I'm going to start pulling the rope now. You see now the end is leaving the ground. Here we can already start throwing down our rope. So we got that clearly out of the way. So now you see actually how the rope is through our next rappel ring, but still goes up to the old one. So I'm keep pulling it. Here now we are already at the middle mark. Again, I like to tie an overhand on a bite into the middle mark, especially now since I already guided down the other rope, so the weight of that rope is not pulling the remaining rope down. So now we're almost at a point where the other rope will fall. This is a very important moment, and it's very crucial that you call that falling rope. Okay, so I almost feel it falling. Alright, it's coming any second, so I'm gonna get a rope! It's falling down. Very important to not look up when the rope falls, because that will really land on your face. And here, with multi-pitch rappelling, it's really important to get access to that end that just fell down, because there is no knot in there yet. And as we know, we always want to back it up and close the system. So only when that is guaranteed, we can now throw the other end down the rope. And only when both ends of the rope are down, we can now untie this block knot. And we can very well see how the middle mark here is on the rappel rings again. Right? So from this moment on, the entire process of multi-pitch rappelling repeats, right? So we're gonna do it quickly. We're gonna get Stephan first on top. Right. So we're gonna rig him a little higher, clip him into his shorter PAS, and now it's very visible. I can go right below Stephan. And as you remember earlier from our anchor up top, I have to get my friction hitch onto the brake strands. I'm using a Sterling hollow block here and an auto block friction hitch clipped to my belay loop with a small locking carabiner. So I'm going to test it again, really put a lot of pressure on it so it really grabs. And once I verified that, I can clip it back to my belay loop, lock it down. And now we're at that point again where we want to do a final check before we unclip from our PAS and before I remove the anchor and then eventually bump it down to our next. So we're gonna go again from the very top, right? So we go down, we got our rappel ring here, we're in the middle, and we got both rope strands here with Stephan being on top. He is locked, clipped into his PAS. I'm below him, locked with a friction hitch backup lock. So once you verify that the system is all safe and good to go, that's when we can then unclip from our PAS. And this is the moment where again I can then grab the anchor, and as you see I clip them above the chain, so I have a really easy way to just remove them without having our rappel rings pinch down. So now I remove my anchor, and as you see we are here again in a clean pre-rigged rappel setup. I got my quad anchor at hand, So I can bump this down. In theory, we can repeat this here endlessly, depending on how long a climb is. This was here a 2-pitch climb at Mission Trails, so we are on our last rappel. But really, this repeats, and you can do 10, 20, 30 rappels with this system. All right, Stephan, I'm gonna rappel down.
Yep.
See you down there.
See you.